Hi everybody, this is Total War Tactical. I'm Tao, and this is Total War Battlefield Episode 1, where I talk about tips, tricks, tactics to use in campaign and against PvP, or in PvP rather, um, to try to help you get the edge on the enemy. Um, so for this episode, I'm using uh, some footage from a PvP match from a match-made battle on Shogun 2. Uh, I am using a Fall of the Samurai avatar. I'm facing a regular Shogun 2 opponent. Uh, so before we get too far into it, I would like to go over what our armies consist of. So, um, this is a new avatar for me, so I'm really low ranked. I don't have access to any units really. I was kind of going for naval on this guy. So my current army setup, and you can see it here on the screen, is I have my general's bodyguard using ranged weapons. I have 3 units of spear levy, 3 units of red bear infantry, and a unit of Yari Key cavalry, which is your standard base cavalry that you start with. My opponent has his bodyguard unit using bows, 3 Yari Ashigaru, 3 bow Ashigaru, 1 lone sword Ashigaru, which is just katana unit, Ashigaru version, uh, 2 units of katana samurai, and 1 unit of light cav. Um, so there's some advantages and disadvantages to playing as a or playing against mixed avatar and playing in mixed avatar battles. While playing as Fall of the Samurai, you get gunpowder units, but you also sacrifice unit size, melee damage potential, and also um, just amount of units you can afford to field. Because once you start uh, giving them lots of experience, it's very expensive to have a lot of units on the field. Whereas the the regular Shogun units can afford to put many more troops on the field, and if they get in close, they can really mess you up. But they suffer when it comes to morale shock potential and ranged damage. However, they do have a range advantage on most rifle units. The exception being elite units on the Shogun or the Fall of Samurai units. Uh, so now let's go ahead and start getting into this battle. If you see how I'm set up here, I'm set up uh, in a general formation. I have a reserve of spear levies in the rear. I have my gun units in front, ready to fire on anything that's ahead, with my general protected in the rear. You'll see that I have my Yari key, excuse me, off to the side, as close as I could possibly get to the morale shrine here. The reason I did that is that morale is very, very important. If that is a shrine that is on the map, you need to capture that quite quickly. And using the Yariki, you'll see how I do this as we play. To capture that is very important. Um, so in this battle, I know that the enemy has the range advantage on me, and that can be very devastating. When I play with my regular Shogun 2 avatar, I'm very bow heavy to take advantage of that. I can mostly whittle everyone down and then focus one by one and take a unit out of the fight rather quickly using that range advantage. So I know that this bow archery dojo, I should say, um, that increases reload rate, I can't let him have that. I cannot allow him to take the initiative and take this. So while the battle is starting, I'm thinking, okay, I need to take this while taking the morale shrine. I could care less about this shrine here, the farmhouse, or because I don't feel I'm going to need it. I feel like I'm going to be on the defensive at the moment because of all his melee units that can rush me and take me down really quickly, as he has more troops on the field than I do, as you see. So let's go ahead and get this started. Speed it up a little bit for the beginning. You see that I'm rushing my Yari key over to the shrine here, and I'm microing that. I'm paying more attention to that than I am anything else. They're dismounting. They're going to grab this shrine for me, and actually this is very important because what happens next is generally what happens when I do this, and can be pretty much relied on. So at this point in the battle, I am moving my units up to, like I said, take the initiative and make sure he doesn't take this. What surprised me in this battle was that he decided to play or post in a defensive posture. There's some mistakes that he made, but it looks like he's trying to protect his flanks, have his bowman in front so he can fire off arrows, drop back, and he's adjusting. And at this stage, the player decides to say, or sees that there is one single cavalry unit dismounted on its own, and he wants to take advantage of that, which is generally a smart idea. Now, this is one of the moments that I really wanted to show you in this, and it's the first draw. I call it draw tactics, which is pretty much baiting a unit into a fight and then taking advantage of the unit being separated from the rest of the force, isolating and taking them out. The other part, which I'll show you later, is a feint, as well as another draw. So let's continue. So as you see, he has regular scout light infantry, and actually while I was doing this, and I was freaking out because I didn't know what kind of cavalry it was at first. I was very nervous. So now you see his units are crossing the bed. I am very much worried that I'm not going to get this in time. I'm worried that I'm going to lose my cav unit. So I've microed my general's bodyguard over to come and intercept. Now remember, I have gunpowder units, or my general is a gunpowder unit. So he's got range, he's got morale, he's got all the stats on top of this light cavalry. So I've taken the opportunity to say, hey, the light cav is coming in. I can hit that, regroup my Yari key, get them on horses, and do damage. So let's see what happens. I've captured the shrine, so I had just enough time to get my Yari key back on their horses, which with their bonus against cavalry, which these light cavalry lack, they're able to hold up quite well. Now the shallow water does slow down my unit, and at this point I'm very focused on getting these guys over, but I notice that my Yari key are doing quite well, and I decide to refocus my general to fire on their general, which I see is a bow unit. I thought I was going to be crushed by two cavalry. So I take advantage to use the greater ranged option here, gunpowder over bow, to annihilate their general as my Yari key finish off their light scouts, which then I can sick my Yari key on their general and chase them down. So focusing back here, I've set up my gunpowder units on this side, knowing that the water's going to slow the enemy down, hoping that their bows don't come in range. He surprisingly stays in a defensive stance, not using any of his other units. I've at this point whittled his general unit down to 2, as you see here, and he's running off. I keep my Yari key on him, knowing that they're going to be able to catch him and do their job. And I bring my general back, worried that there's going to be another assault to keep them within morale range. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and speed ahead a little bit here. I've captured this archery dojo now. General's dead, so I decide it's time to reform the lines. he has moved, in a smart move, he's moved his Yari Ashigaru, notice they're all on spear wall, to protect his flank, worried about this cav here. And I take note of that. So let's go ahead and speed it up again. I've moved, so at this point I'm thinking, okay, he thinks that the attack, he's worried of my cav. He's worried that there's going to be attack, a flank maneuver from my cavalry on this side, and that's why he's moved his Yari Eshigaru up. So what I've decided to do is say, okay, yeah, that is, I'm going to let him think that's where the cavalry is going to come from, which in a way it will, and you'll see in a moment. So I'm going to shift my general onto this side, and I'm going to shift my spear levy onto this side, preparing to move up. You see there's really no movement here, no preparation, lots of gaps in the line, so no real solid formative structure here. It looks like he's kind of angled in this direction, but also trying to protect this side using his longsword and katana units, which it is smart to use your infantry as a wall to protect your units, but in this case it may have been a poor choice because of the technological advantages I have. So I'm thinking I do not want to keep this stalled, and this is where we start moving into the feint phase. These spear levies aren't veteraned, and I know that I'm not going to need them in my next PvP battle, so I'm going to move them up. I'm going to move them up and hopefully distract, because I don't want those bow units getting advantage onto this unit now, onto these units here, these gun units. I want them to be at their max potential. And after I've decided to move these along this coast here, the spear levy, I use my general's bodyguard to kind of hopefully pull some of these bow units across. Now that's not what happens, and you'll see next, but what I use them for is to attack this Yari Ashigaru unit here. Now I want to pull attention this way so I can take advantage of a lane that will open up here. The feint still works, but it's not in the same way. The draw works very well. That's going to happen right here. You'll see a draw, and you'll see what I mean by a minute when these units move. So I fire a few volleys, or one volley, and I pull back thinking they're going to react. I notice he doesn't. He's holding a defensive formation. He wants me to charge. I notice how heavily his morale is dropped. I send them back in for another couple shots, and kind of monitor the situation, as well as setting these guys up for an advance. And this is where the feint and draw really start to happen. I bring these units down, and I move these units at an angled direction right here, to set up for a flank. He starts advancing with his Yari unit. I always have my general on skirmish. He starts to break, but he's still committed, and he is committed very heavily. Now you'll notice that there is a, you'll notice if I pause it here, you'll notice all there is protecting this flank is one Yari Ashigaru and one Katana Samurai. The Yari Ashigaru, yes, they're good against Cav, but not really. Or they are good, but these Katana Samurais aren't, and he's gonna have more than enough to contend with out here in the front when it comes to his committal of forces with the Yari Ashigaru. So now I've drawn his defense out against a force that is this unit here, my general's bodyguard, far superior, and is just going to deal with him very quickly. The feint is to commit these forces in, like I was saying, because they're sacrificial, I can lose them and not have to worry about my next battle, into the fight, and then take advantage of the flanks, the rear, and other exposed portions using my gun infantry. This unit is finally routed. I don't have to worry about a spear unit on this side, he has now committed his forces to annihilating what he thinks this melee charge is my main attack. And you'll see exactly what I mean. My forces are still being formed up. I restance them, reform them, however you want to put that, as quickly as possible, seeing this, that now his back is turned with his spear units, with his sword units, with his bow units. I do have one unit routing. That's because of all these charging units. Morale shock against levy units, very easy to accomplish. But I do have these two that are going to hold out for a time. I send this cavalry unit who's been waiting patiently first at the katana unit, but I see that they're in front of the bow or the spears now, and I say, hey, I'm going to take out the threat to my unit. And now here's where the feint is accomplished. I get a route, a chain route. I'm firing. I believe I get one of these units, one of my own units to route. He's readjusting. My units are chasing them down. Another route, another route, another route, another route, and you just see it's just constantly falling because of the missile barrage from here. The plan at this point is to take these units, crash them back in, take this unit around to the side, my general's bodyguard, bring them around the side, crash them in this direction, and finish them off in a surrounded stance, completely enveloped with cavalry, and whittle them down as much as possible. But as you see, all units have routed, and that is the end of the battle. So hopefully that was a good example of how you can do a draw and a feint, either in conjunction or separately, to gain a positional advantage on the enemy or draw units out. I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you next time on the next episode of Total War Battlefields.